Hi, welcome to the Department of Psychology at SDSU. My name is Dr. Melody Sadler. I am the Director of the Psychology Advising Center here on campus. We serve all students in psychology majors and minors. I would like to tell you a bit about our program. So we have most graduates per year on campus for SDSU. Our graduates come in as freshmen and are out on average in 4 years. And for transfers, they're in and out in an average of 2 to 2.5 years. We are one of the top NIH, which is the National Institutes of Health, funded psychology departments in California. We basically compete with Berkeley for that title, which means that we have a lot of researchers who are doing applied work that is well funded by different sources. And that provides opportunities then for our students to participate in research if they want. We also have several high impact experiences that include course credit for students. So you can get these experiences on the way to earning units for your degree. We have things like a field internship, advising or counseling experiences, a research assistantship, possibility teaching assistantships, and you can also fit study abroad into your time in the psychology major. In terms of major pathways, we actually have 3 different pathways. One is what we call the traditional psychology pathway. This has, after prep courses, 31 units of upper division work that's spread across the basics of psychology, so methods and statistics that form the underlying science behind us. It goes across several different areas of psychology so that you have a well-rounded education within the psychology subfields, but then it also has plenty of room for you to take psychology electives. And with these, you can either choose to explore different areas if you're not sure what you want to do, or you can really hone in and take classes in a particular area of interest for you. Beyond that, we have 2 emphases, which are basically taking the traditional major and then carving out specific classes to go toward the emphasis or kind of a concentration in an area. So our first one is the emphasis in industrial and organizational psychology, which is the field of psychology that kind of interacts with business settings. So it's about things like, how do we select good workers? How do you retain them? How do you have high morale among your workers? It also looks at things about the communication between different organizational structures within a company, for example, leadership, those kind of things. And we have an emphasis in neuroscience, which focuses on the neurological components, so both the anatomy and the function of different components of the brain, in underlying and interacting with the environment and in relating to behavior. In terms of course offerings, we have a lot of different courses available. We not surprisingly have courses within mental health areas. So what are different clinical disorders that are chronic? What are ones that are not chronic? We have neuroscience, of course, that I talked about a minute ago, and we have industrial organizational courses. We also have courses that are about therapy, which is not teaching you how to be a therapist, but it's teaching you about the theories behind therapy and the research that supports them. We have a course in health psychology, social psychology, social and cultural both look at the interaction of the individual and the environment, kind of social forces that influence our behaviors. Developmental, which looks at the social, affective, and behavioral components of development across the lifespan. Forensic psychology, the intersection of psychology and law. Stress, trauma, and combat, which is taught by a clinical psychologist who is also a military veteran and served in the field. So we have a lot of different course offerings in terribly interesting areas. In terms of possible careers, where could you go if you have a psychology degree? For bachelor's degrees, arts is a liberal arts degree. And with that comes training in different skills that translate directly to the workforce. So you can go into the workforce after you get your psychology bachelor's degree. It can be in a variety of settings though. So pretty much anything that deals with people, you'll find psychology majors there. So it can be in educational settings, childcare, sales, marketing, probation, parole, just to name a few. If you want to go on to a master's degree, there are different options as well. People are often interested who come into psychology in perhaps the helping professions and maybe conducting therapy with children or families or couples or individuals. So there are several different possibilities for master's degree that relate to mental health counseling. There's also school counseling. So if you want to be an academic counselor, K through 12 or college level, there's school counseling, there's student affairs if you're looking at college level. And industrial organizational, I also bring up at the master's degree level, which just gives you further training in looking at research between the individual and teams in the workplace. For those who are interested in going on to a doctoral degree, there's clinical psychology, which also allows you to practice, right, to conduct therapy with people. But the doctoral degree involves a lot more of a research focus than perhaps the terminal master's degrees do. So you can go into clinical psychology, you can go into many different areas of psychology. I'm a social psychologist, for example, quantitative, developmental, cognitive, like what relates to the different course offerings I was mentioning a minute ago. And people who get their PhD in those areas tend to be either professors or go on and be research scientists in an academic setting, a social science setting, or even in industry. Finally, we have a lot of people who move from an undergraduate degree in psychology into fields like law, medicine, and physical and occupational therapy. So as you can see, there are lots of possibilities, and part of what you'll do during your time here is kind of figure out which of these fits you and what you want from your work and career as well. We have several student organizations that are aligned with psychology that our students participate in. These provide both professional contacts, so you interact with faculty or people who are out at work in the field, community service opportunities, social events, right, networking and that kind of thing. So we have a psychology club and Psych-Hi Honor Society. Both of these kind of operate together. They operate jointly for most of their events. Active Minds is focused on destigmatizing mental health conditions. Counseling and Social Change are for people who do want to go out and become counselors. And it's also the social change comes from, it has a social justice component to it. SciMore is a group that's devoted to mentoring students in psychology. So you could either be a mentee when you come in, or you could later become a mentor. Society for Human Resource Management would be those folks who are interested in more going into a business setting. So either in human resources or industrial organizational psychology. So that's just a quick overview of what our department is like. I appreciate your time and listening to this video. If you have any questions, we have, like I mentioned at the forefront, a whole psychology advising center here for you. If you're able to drop in person, we're in Life Sciences North, room 105. You can also email us though at psychology.advising.sdsu@sdsu.edu. And both of those ways, right, you can ask us questions. You don't have to have been to have accepted yet. You could just be thinking about how would my courses translate? What are things that I might see in more detail for my major? You're more than welcome to contact us. And I appreciate your time and hope to see you soon.